Tonight we are in the Five Towns exploring some modern Asian eatering put together by some of the strongest operators in the game. This is Anju, Five Towns, Cedarhurst. There's a train station next door. You know what I'm talking about, New York. There's a certain standard and tone that has been set in the Five Towns, and with that, the greater kosher keeping community. And that is the standards set by the Saphnia brothers and sisters, the owners and operators of such hits as Doma, Pork and Slice, and now Anju, Modern Asian Eatery. It is an exploration of Asian cuisine and delicately presented in a finer dining, incredibly vibey kind of spot, higher end. They know how to do it right. This is an exploration of their sushi, and we're gonna start with this truffly looking roll. And it highlights the extensive use of the finer quality of product and how to use it, not in a large, bashful way, but in an appropriate kind of sushi roll, delicate, experience all the parts of that flavor way. There's nothing else that needs to be added to this. Everything about this is in such a delicate, refined way, and more of what I would expect sushi to be in, like a delicate Japanese kind of hand thrown down. The rice is kind of a great firm, a great touch, and everything has a beautiful aroma to it. Toasted seaweed, and then the fatty rich tuna that is just chopped and cut in the right way to provide that cool with an incredibly light touch of truffle. There's something called a cornetto. There's something called a hand roll, and they've taken that idea and they take this beautifully scented, toasted, you toast the seaweed, it gives it a great scent, and they present it beautifully with this wonderfully rich, sweet preparation of a beautiful, beautiful salmon sourced just for this. That is that sweet, salty, pungent, like seaweedy, full-on, like seafoody experience, that crunch on the cornetto roll is perfect. This is a chili cucumber, and this is a pickle prep. But the way it's cut and the way it's pickled, and with these little threads that are actually threads of chili, that is chili cut very fine. That's a chili thread, and it's such a beautifully wonderful presentation. This is like a miso with some sesame in it, some chili in it, and it all kind of hits that salt on a fresh, crunchy cucumber in the same kind of way like a new pickle would. And this is just another example of just using fantastic ingredients into a fantastic pickle. This is their gyoza. And a gyoza is a Japanese beef dumpling that is steamed and pan-fried at the same time so that you get a chewy texture on the outside and a crispy texture on the bottom all together. The texture on the inside is a beautiful, finer form of like a creamy dumpling. It's soft, it moves. It's airy and polite in a certain kind of way, and just a refined touch. And then I have a different option of dumpling because it's a dim sum section. And these are called edamame dumplings. And I assume that's because there's edamame inside. Edamame is a soybean, and that is, definitive of a culture and a food. They've taken this kind of idea of that pea-ish kind of crunchy flavor, and they've enhanced it into a savory kind of toasty section that turns it into a beautiful use of an edamame. That's a killer dumpling. Killer dumpling. What you have here is this wonderfully kind of chewy, bouncy noodle called an Udon Noodle. It is a thicker Japanese noodle, and it is one of my favorites because it really holds to like a thick, silky kind of richness in the sauce. Sweetnesses are tempered in a certain kind of specifically Asian sweetened kind of way, and the savories are tempered in that Asian miso-y kind of savory kind of way, and they balance each other so well. But the lusciousness of that noodle, the chewy of that noodle, the creaminess of the beef, it all makes sense. Explore all the hard work that goes into a beautiful dish like this. There's a broth there that's just a delicate broth, and they use these beautiful little enoki mushrooms and the shiitake shingled on top. These are all essences of layers that get imbued in this beautiful, beautiful piece of sea bass. Pure essence of just a perfectly cooked kind of sea bass. And then you have that little soy saucy kind of hint of a broth, tempered by those savory mushrooms. It's genteel and still like a rich fish dish. We are now presented with a short rib that has been braised and imbued with the flavors of that Asian kind of region. And then to top it off, what they're calling an Asian chimichurri. So what I have here is that lettuce wrap experience that is one of my favorite parts of any Asian food menu. It contains a braised short rib. It contains this beautiful parsnip kind of puree, some crispies, and that wonderful green Asian chimichurri. That is a superior and refined dish, and those components are so specifically set on purpose to go together. You have that wonderfully braised short rib that when it melds with the sweetness built into that puree, it is a very, very, very fine dining experience. This is a shiny spot. This is a spot that is run by some of the strongest operators in the game. Their mission is to establish a certain kind of finer dining Asian cuisine for a kosher keeper. The spot is slick, the spot is shiny, the food is very finessed and delicious. This is Anju, 5 towns by the train station spot.